Buongiorno, with Christmas coming, I wanted to adapt a classic Italian dessert with some Christmas colors and also make it accessible to everybody, children included. So I'm making a version of a tiramisu, but not coffee based. It's going to be fruit of the forest and it's going to be in a roll. And the advantage is also that I'm not going to add any eggs. I'm using a mixture of frozen fruit today as it is perfect for this recipe, but also it's more economical. So I've got blackberries, blueberries, raspberries and strawberries. I've placed them on the hob. I'll start mixing them until the frozen fruit thaws and the sugar is absorbed. In some videos, some of you have asked me the list of ingredients and cooking method. That is listed in all of my cooking videos. You need to look in the description, which is below the video, and you will find the list of ingredients, the quantities, but also the cooking method. This is now boiling, so I'll turn it down on to medium and I will leave them to boil for a further 5 minutes. Sometimes people think that recipes like this are difficult, but if you get yourself organized, you will see that they are just like a walk in the park. It's just a matter of getting ready and everything organized. So I'm now separating the liquid part from my fruit from the solid, and the liquid part is what I'm going to be using to soak the biscuit later. Obviously this is really hot, so I need it to cool down. So I'm using a little sieve, and I'm going through with one of Julie's Christmas spatula. It's Christmas after all, and squishing it down to ensure that I get as much liquid out as possible. And you will end up with something which is really liquidy like this, and obviously the rest up here. So I'm going to move this over here and I'll do the rest. And there it is, my fruit of the forest have been separated, liquid and solid, but they are still warm. So I'll put them over here so that they can cool down. In the meantime, I'll work on my filling. So double cream, make sure that it's fresh and it is straight out of the fridge. Electric whisk, and I'll mix it until I get soft and smooth peaks. Something very much similar to this. This is mascarpone, and I'm going to add a couple of tabs to my mixed cream, and that is tab number 2, followed by some icing sugar. And I'll mix everything together using my spatula first, mostly to ensure that the icing sugar doesn't go everywhere, and then I'll carry on with my mixer. You will see that as soon as you add the sugar, the color of the cream turns into this brilliant white, which is quite glossy, and you can tell that it's ready now. Today I'm combining 300 milliliters of fresh double cream with 500 grams of mascarpone and 75 grams of icing sugar. I would recommend that at this point you just quickly test it to ensure that the sweetness is of your liking. It's perfect for us, but if you don't want it too sweet, add less sugar or add more if you want it sweeter. And I'm ready to start assembling my fruit of the forest tiramisu log roll. Little tip, before you start, ensure that you're clear about the size you're making, and you've got the tray that you're going to be using eventually in front of you, and also ensure that you are using some baking paper and that you cut enough of a piece so that you will not run out, and then you'll be very disappointed as it might not work out for you. So I always think that it's best to have more than less, and then you'll be on the safe side. So here is my baking paper. I'll place it on my worktop. The liquid part of my fruit has cooled down, so I'll bring this forward. And this is what is going to be replacing coffee if you were to make the traditional tiramisu. And I'll just dip my sponge finger into it, and I'll start laying it on my paper, just like this. And of course my syrup is considerably thicker than coffee, so you do not need to dip it for very long, literally not even a second. If you look, enough for the base to be covered, and I'll start aligning them one after the other. And I'm nearly done. That's the penultimate. Here is my last one, and I've got now quite a bit of liquid left, not a problem. So spoon, and I'll just drizzle some on top of the sugared side of the biscuit, just like this. Not a lot though, because I don't want to make my biscuits too soggy, just enough to give a nice punchy flavor on the top also. And I can move on to my filling next. So here's the cream. and I'll start applying it on top of my biscuits using a couple of spatulas. I'm going to use approximately 2/3 of my cream on here, and then the rest I'll use it on top for decorations at the end. The biscuits are already stuck to the paper, so they will not move that easily, but my cream is quite thick, so eventually it would move if I start spreading it. So get your hand against the very first row of biscuits and hold them down, and then start spreading your cream and pushing it towards you so that you are applying some pressure and they don't move. And I'm done with this side, and I spread it as thinly and even as I can. So I'll change position, I'll go to the other side, and I'll do exactly the same. Looking good. I told you it was going to be easy. So next is going to be the turn of the solid fruit. So I'm going to be applying this in the middle. And of course I do not need to worry about holding anything down with my hands anymore, as the dessert has become considerably heavier, and I can easily spread it with my spatula. And this is the part I like most. So get hold of the paper and gently start rolling it. And as I've got obviously my baking paper underneath, this is considerably easier. And the beginning is where it's a little bit trickier, but once you get going you will find that it's actually very, very enjoyable and very simple. So I've just done the first roll, I peeled it off, and then I'll roll it very, very gently. And I'll go and do the next one whilst I'm holding the paper off. Pull it back slightly and push it down, and I'll carry on. And this is another reason why you don't want your biscuits to be too soggy, because of course they will need to hold some structure. And I'm there. The roll is ready, and it now needs to set. So what I'm going to do is to roll this back, and I'll leave as it is, and I'll place it in the fridge for a couple of hours so that everything sets, and then we can do the final decorations. So I'll see you in a couple of hours. But I just realized that I need to show you how to lift it. So here is my tray that I mentioned earlier. Get hold of the paper at the edges here and gently lift it. Sorry, I should have done that earlier. Never mind, I've done it now. See you then. And this is one of the most important parts, of course, as it will give your dessert presence and character. Let's take a look. And although it has set, I'm going to be still very careful, as it is very delicate. So here it is. I remove this excess part of the baking paper, but I will leave a little bit on this side so that I can get hold of it at the end when I remove it. You might be very keen to see what it looks like on the inside. Here it is. Hopefully you'll be able to see. Looks good. So let's finish the decorations next. And I'll start by applying the remainder of my cream, which I reserved earlier, and I'll put it in little blobs all over the cake to ensure that I've got enough to cover the surface. And I'll start spreading it across the surface using a little spatula, just like this, up and down. Turn it over, a bit more cream. Julie's watching the television and she left some clear instructions. She said to me, "You're gonna let me lick the bowl, aren't you?" Never mind. So I better leave some on the bowl. There you go, that's for Julie, and I'll finish the job. And I'm pretty much done with my spatula. You can leave it like this if you like a more rustic look, or get another one of those spatulas, I think it's called a palette knife, and gently start going just one direction, and it will make it a little bit smoother, and I'll give you more of a smooth finish. Turn it around and do the other side. Try and go to the bottom, by the way, to ensure that you get a nice finish between the paper and your dessert, and I think it's looking pretty good. And at this point you've got multiple choices and you can let your imagination run wild. For example, you will have some syrup left over, so if you wanted you could just drizzle that on top and finish the dessert. Or if you've got access to some fresh fruit, you can put some decorations on top, and that is what I'll be doing today. I've got some blueberries, some strawberries and some raspberries, so I'll do a little combination of all of them. And I'm starting with the strawberries, and as I've actually applied some cream on the top, I'm pressing them down and they're staying stuck a little bit like glue. So again, use your fantasy and imagination. I'll see how I get on. But I'm staying away from the edges of my dessert, as I will be cutting a vertical line to tidy up, and obviously I don't want any fruit in there. So here are some raspberries, and it is nice that you push them and they stay put. And I'm pressing the blueberries for last, as they tend to roll and they get trapped by the rest of the fruit. So that is my vision and design. I think it looks pretty good. But before I can finish, I need to do a little tidy up so that it looks stunning. I'm going to use a braid knife, and I'm going to go on the edge over here, and I'm going to just slice a little over here so that everything looks square. And I'm going to be very, very careful, of course. Gentle movements, and I'm going to hold the sponge finger at the beginning so that it doesn't come off, and that is one side done. I try and cut it one way and then lift it on the way back so that I don't put pressure on the biscuits at the edge, and I'm nearly done now. You can see that it's beautiful. Of course, you'll have noticed that I have placed my dessert on a fairly thick board. That is a strategic choice because the next part is the tricky part, where I need to now move it into the tray. So I'm going to make use of gravity as well as a little bit of gentle movement. So I'll go a spatula under the cake and my hand over here and my board over there, and very carefully I'll place it in the middle like this, remove the spatula and remove my hand, and the cake is in position, and all I've got left to do is to remove the paper next. I've encountered a problem as I'm really struggling to remove the paper from under the cake, and the danger is that I spoil it. So I have decided not to bother, and I will just cut along the edge of the paper over here and on the side over here, and I will just leave it underneath. And tomorrow when we cut into it, obviously I will make sure that there is no paper in any pieces of cake. If you know how to do it, I would really love to know, but I think it's one of those things. I could try, but then there is a risk that I spoil my beautiful cake, and I don't want to go there, so I'll just do that. Some of you might think, well, you could have just done this and not tell us. We would have not known otherwise, and that is true, but that is not what my cooking channel is about. So I'm sharing everything with you guys, and then you'll know what to expect. And honestly, if you've got a good way of doing this, I would welcome to know, so that next time I make it, I can follow your instructions. And I'm nearly there. Quick tidy up around the edges using some kitchen paper to remove any excess cream. And all I've got left to do now is to add a little icing sugar. Not a lot, just enough to give that beautiful Christmas look. And there it is, it's done. And I just got hold of the other camera so that I can show you what it looks like from the side. There it is, look, and obviously there will be the same.
Beautiful.
Julie's just arrived, and the other side. And
you can't see me, I'm off camera, I've
No,
got the bowl.
They can see you. She got caught.
Got the bowl.
Actually, you can get the camera and finish, help me, because I wanted to taste some. And as Julie inevitably has arrived, I just thought what I'll do tomorrow. This is when we got guests, obviously, and they will be sliced. It will set even further overnight. But the plan is to get a slice, put it on a plate, flat, and then I've got this beautiful syrup left, and we will be applying a little bit of the syrup on top of the slice, and then tuck in. I'll just try some so that I can tell you what it's like, although Julie, as always, knows before me what it was like. You have some of the stuff. And it's really good. You can taste the layers, which is very important in cakes like this, and the cream is really present, but also the strength of the fruit is beautiful, and it's delicious. It's so simple to make, and you will agree it looks so beautiful. So make it, and you will love it, and your guests will love it. Thank you. Ciao ciao and buon appetito.